There we go.
Audio should be live as well.
I wonder if the video audio capture is closer than it was before with Discord.
Hey, thanks, Big Boy Steve. Pins, what
Hey.
be Bungie emails? Yeah, I just got a lot of Bungie emails that showed up in mine too, but oh shit. Oh my god, they better not change their minds again.
About the date?
School.
Oh.
They've been bouncing back and forth the Kansas and Missouri because we're like right on the border, so we have to like pay attention to both sides. The Kansas governor tried to sign an executive order saying that they couldn't go back to school until after Labor Day, and the school board kind of whiffled on it. They instead of agreeing to it, the Kansas board went 5-5, and they're like, yeah, so each individual district has to make up their own mind, which is like, I'm like, god damn it, okay, fine. So then our district came back
It's
and like,
it's this.
oh
I don't
no,
want to deal with this.
no, that is exactly what it is. And
I don't want to piss off a bunch of people because I want to hold my seat.
So fucking annoyed with it. It's like, someone just come up with a plan. Like, I know it's a difficult thing, but just so anyways, the district came back and they were like, okay, no. So and actually the superintendent for our district did a really good job. They live streamed yesterday, and he explained, like, he went through the entire logistics of all the stuff that, you know, like, he's having to look at, and he's like, this is why, you know, we're doing this and blah blah blah. And they came back and he's like, okay, so with all that being said, I'm proposing that we start September 8th. It's like, okay, fine, you have a plan. I don't necessarily like it because I'm selfish, but you have a plan. Like, there is logic behind this instead of this just like stupid emotional stuff. Well then, so our school is a private school, so we have to pay attention to what the public schools districts are doing, but we don't necessarily have to go along with it. And so our school decided that since all the other schools in our group, they kind of all got together and they said, okay, you're not starting until the 8th. We're going to start on the 31st, but because we don't have the size that we have to worry about. Well, they just published the Metro just posted, hey, we might do another shutdown. I was like, god damn it. I'm like, look, we either have to go all on this side or we gotta go all on this side. We can't keep wiffle waffling between the two. Like,
definitely been frustrating. I got two boys going to school, and I live in Iowa, so our governor is Reynolds, and just as the schools had finally decided that they were going to do kind of like a hybrid online stuff, well, then she comes out and she's like, nope, you got to all be in school full time. And then everybody had to be like, well, just kidding.
Oh, yeah.
I guess we're going to have to throw those plans away, and we'll talk to you guys in 2 weeks. And so it's just kind of been, it's been
that's one of the
not knowing what's happening.
Well, and that's one of the things that, like, I liked what our guy did, because he was like, look, here's the deal. We're going to start, school's going to start on, like, he wants school to start on the 8th. He's like, that gives us enough time to keep in like, and he explained, I mean, he was really candid, which I really appreciate. He was really candid about, like, you know, the conflict that he has is, like, they have contracts with the teachers. They have to employ them a certain number of days, but they also have a budget that they have to keep. And he's like, there's just, you know, there's logistics that go into that. He's like, the kids have to, you know, and they keep changing the health regulations, which also doesn't help. But, like, so he's like, honestly, we're trying to figure out all this. And then he's talking and he's like, and honestly, as teachers, none of us were trained for this. Like, this is, this is
not at all.
Like, he's like, this is completely new to everyone, and so they're having to retrain all the teachers so that, you know, they can continue doing their job, but they have to fit that training within the contract dates, which I do not envy the superintendents of any district right now, because it is a Fucking
Here's
nightmare.
the thing that drives me crazy is that everyone's just like, oh, teachers, like teachers. I'm like, I'm really, really glad I got out of teaching when I did because of all this stuff going on. Because
Oh,
I wouldn't have a job right now. Music
Right.
teachers can't do anything.
well,
like, you
and
can't-
so like
Yeah.
what our guy did was he's saying, it's gonna. I think it's Monday. I think he said for the public school district, he's saying
Mhm.
what he's gonna do is he's like school's gonna start on the 8th. But
Okay.
they're gonna say they're gonna have the parents when they sign up, you know, because you have to register for classes no matter what. When you register, you have to commit to a semester saying, "Hey, I'm going to either be virtual or I'm gonna be in person." You can do either, but you have. But he's like, but we
You gotta
have
commit to it.
we have to have you promise to do that for like he's like obviously if a case by case scenario comes up we're gonna we're
Sure.
not saying you can't, but like because he's got to know how many teachers to have, like I mean, and I was like I'm
Right.
watching this thing I'm like I'm completely on board with this. I don't necessarily like it, but this by far makes the most sense. Like but yeah, so now the health department's coming back, or the medical department's coming back, and they're like, well, if you guys don't get your stuff in order, we're gonna shut everything down. I'm like, God bless it. Ugh.
I love it. Anyway, should we start the recording?
Yeah, that's fine. Sorry, I'm getting texts from parents that I work with.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it's all the team that I work with. They just sit the article and everyone's like, one of them's just like, the fact that I'm jealous of my best friend's kiddie pool is how bad this
Oh,
has
no.
become.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who would have thought, right?
Oh my god. Oh shit.
Yeah. Okay. You guys have Audacity up or whatever your
Yes,
recording
I don't know
software is?
where it ran off. There it is.
I do a countdown, 1, and I'll say click, start. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, click.
Cool.
And then that can go in the background. It'll run the whole time.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yep.
And Green, are you gonna run a clock too? Pins.
Yeah. I can run the clock. Pin space
Corgis.
desk.
The corgis just.
So, Ted, are you able to see the stream at
Yep.
the moment? Yeah, you see the bouncing corgis.
Yes, I did.
Best surprise ever. That was so much to be able to have that ready. Head desk worthy for sure. Can I blame this on alcohol? Pins has been drinking since probably 6 o'clock my time, because that's when I got on with Cole and he already had whiskey. So, whoops. But yes, I have a clock ready to go.
Cool.
Good to know, Jay. I will keep that in mind.
Yeah, and I'm thinking. Yeah. Anyways, I have an idea, but I'll write it down so I don't forget it. Okay. Let's see. Get here. I'll go ahead and I will pull a backup just in case. Oh, and there we go. Okay. Welcome to Focus Fire Chat, recorded live on July 24th, 2020, over on twitch.tv/FocusFireChat. As always, I want to give a big shout out to our live chat here with us tonight. Thank you so much for joining us once again. This week's episodes are going to be focused around exploring information regarding Titan, not the subclass or the class, the moon. This particular episode will serve as what we have come to call the intro session of the week's exploration. Before we go any further, however, let's run through a quick introduction of who all we have with us on the show. As always, this is your host, Blue Crew 86.
And this is the girl who has a new cookbook, Green-Eyed Music Lover. I have waves splitter. There's alcohol recipes in this cookbook as well as food. Right.
This might have convinced me that I need to get a copy of this.
This might have convinced you that Anna would be okay with you getting a copy of this more. So don't fool yourself. You weren't wanting this book.
No, that's
before Anna.
fair. That's fair. Well, and last but definitely not the least, in the hot seat as guest co-host, we have our good friend, Professional Ted. Ted, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great.
Yee. Always good.
Yeah.
Well, and I actually,
Oh.
Now that we have that out of the way, I want to shift the focus over to Ted. So usually with these intro sessions, we set aside some time to get to know a little more about our guests. And Ted, you've been on with us, so you kind of are
Sure.
prepared for Green's upcoming interrogation.
Let me just say this before we start. Blue changed the question list. So
Listen,
this is
I
gonna
tried
sound
I
very-
tried to make it a little bit more 5 W's and how.
Sure.
Look, we do a
First
cocktail
question.
knowledge of our guests and a cocktail knowledge of our topic, and we're done.
Okay, like we're asking existential questions. Like,
Yeah.
who are you?
Who are you?
Who are you, Ted?
I'm a professional, as my name says.
Yeah.
See, this is where this is the top tier answers that I've come to expect.
Yes. I love it.
So there you
love it.
go.
Yeah. So go ahead and just shout out your different social medias and links to everything that you've got, at least that you're willing to share with people. Because I know that I do not people know Facebook or anything, mainly because I don't use it. But go for it.
So I'm mostly on Twitter at Professional Ted. I did start a YouTube channel with my friend Andy, and that is Alter Ego over on YouTube. And we discuss gaming news with a focus on Destiny. So there's a
I
few
didn't know
videos over there, and it's been pretty fun doing that.
How long have you been doing that with them?
Well, pretty much since the shutdown happened, we've been kind of focusing on doing that. We haven't produced videos that have been out for very long, probably
Sure.
mid-June or so, and then it's been about once or twice a week since then.
Nice. That's actually quite a bit. I know that those videos, for every like 5 minutes that you put into it, you're at least doing 20 to 30 minutes of actual editing.
Oh yeah,
Well,
yeah. But I'm usually up at night anyway, so that doesn't bother me that much.
that's cool. And what was the YouTube channel?
Alter Ego over on YouTube.
Nice. And so you said that you're doing that in the community. Is there any other thing that you've got going on that you kind of want to shout out here, kind of get some peeps from our show to your show?
No, that's pretty much it. I give Twitter opinions occasionally, but so does everybody else.
It's the new Twitterversity, right? Like it
Yeah.
used to be YouTubeversity, and now it's Twitter. It's its own what to
It's a
call it
beast.
anymore. It is a beast.
Mm-hmm.
It is a pain in the tuchus. But when did you become interested in the lore? I know we kind of went over this last time that but I'm curious to get that story rehashed because it's been a while.
So I've played from the beginning of Destiny. The
Mhm.
first year, I wasn't too interested in it. Like I played it, it was fun, but then I moved on pretty quickly. But when the Taken King came out, that's when I really started to get into Destiny, and everything surrounding the Hive and Oryx and who they are. And that's kind of when I went back and did all the Dark Below stuff and learned more
Yeah.
about Crota. And it's really the Hive that drew me in, and the Taken, and just everything surrounding them just fascinated me. I felt like there was more to explore, and I really liked the characters.
You know, that actually makes me pretty excited that we were able to pick Titan as the subject that we were going over with you,
Yes.
since so much of Titan is actually related to the Hive.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be fun to dive into that. So you said that you started. When exactly did the Hive fascination begin? You said Dark Below, or
No, Taken King, but then
Taken
I
King,
went
gotcha.
I went back to the Dark Below after that and kind of
Nice.
caught myself up.
Yeah, absolutely. And I already got where you're blue. These are in the wrong order. Let's see here. Already answered that. Already answered that. Already answered that. These are not my questions. Remind us what class you play.
I am Titan primarily.
Nice. Nice. That has been my second recently. I used to threaten to play Titan all the way in D1, and then I switched to Warlock as my second recently, and then I kind of picked my Titan back a little bit, though. I was going through her collections today, and they're not played her hardly enough.
Yeah, I was a Warlock main in D1, and then in D2, I just liked playing the Shield Titan more, so that's
Nice.
my main subclass on there.
What do you think about the new stasis powers from the video that we got?
I'm ready to be my fridge boy.
Okay, so tell me what the Titans got. I know Hunter's got the wall that they can put up. But what did
they've
Titans
got the
get?
shuriken. So the Titans, from what it looked like, they get like these fists that have like spiked ice all around them, and then they slam it, and then it kind of goes forward, and then like ice pillars come up from there.
It's Hulk
Okay.
Smash.
It's
Yeah.
Hulk Smash.
It's the Hulk Smash to go with the Captain American shield.
It's kind of like the Aftershock super from D1, where you slammed and it shoots forward, but with ice.
Okay, that's cool because it's got the striker effect, but more area of effect than.
And I think a lot more range from what we saw anyway.
Yeah, that's cool. I didn't really get to watch that closely when I was able to pick it up a little bit, but I'm excited to see how these ice powers work. There was quite the discussion on Twitter today about it as well, just how people were not quite sure if stasis or ice is a good representation of the dark, or if the dark can even happen. But I digress.
I wouldn't be surprised if it evolved over time as a class.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm hoping we get some rework on our own classes, like our normal class.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. I'm sure they have a lot that they're planning on. I had I'm gonna do a little meme moment for real quick. There was a Twitter post today by Le Monarch.
I saw
Luke
that.
Smith.
Yeah.
And he got he and Luke Smith had this exchange saying that how many like retweets and silver do I need to have to get an ornament and a catalyst for Le Monarch? And Luke said it real low, so I'm hoping that means it's actually coming real soon.
Pretty done. Yeah.
But he said we get 2 ornaments if he gets 100 retweets, and we've already hit over 200 in the last 4 hours. So it's like, I get a new ornament for my bow.
It'd be so fun.
Yeah, it's just it's one of the few that don't right now.
It's one of the only ones from Black Armory that don't.
Mm-hmm.
All the other ones do, I believe.
Yeah.
Jotun does.
Mm-hmm. I can't wait for that toaster to show up on the Bungie store, not gonna lie. That is going to be amazing.
Yeah. Didn't it do the symbol on it too? Like
I hope so. It would have to.
Hand, yeah.
It can't be a Jotun without the hand. All right, Blue, that kind of wraps up my little section a little bit. Do we have any special announcements from Lore Network or anything?
No, just a reminder, to keep an eye out. And I think WordPress, you can subscribe, so you can definitely get those posts every week when we put up the weekly roundups for podcast, and then also for YouTube channel or YouTube videos. This week, I know we had some good mix of Cyberpunk, and I believe Warframe was in the mix there. And I know that I think I saw Wicked was going to be starting to work on some Warhammer stuff, so I know I'm actually kind of excited to see where that's gonna take.
Me too.
Other than that, just general reminder, please give us any feedback that you have, either over on iTunes if you haven't already sent a review over there, or you can shoot us an email at focusfirechat@gmail.com, or use the contact link over on thelorenetwork.com. either way, all those come to Green and I, so we will see it. And we appreciate all the feedback that we have gotten up until this point. It just basically it keeps helping us get better at doing all the shenanigans. I'm trying to think.
I can do a quick announcement here at the beginning of the show, and even though I normally leave it at the end, that
Yeah, do it.
I
Go
am
for it.
working on a new podcast that's going to be added to our channel feed, or it's going to be added to the Lore Network, but it's actually going to be its own feed, and it's going to be called Destiny Lore Audio File, and it is something I have been working on in the background for about a month now, and I am recording Destiny lore as it's written. There's no commentary, there's nothing else going on. It's basically a performance of the lore as read by me or anybody else who is joining me on this one. I know Wicked and Raz were working on a few things. I know that Infested Potato has given me permission to use some of the other books that we've had him record in the past, so looking forward to getting that out there for you guys to make it a little easier for you to access the lore if you're on the road, so you don't have to be looking stuff up in your phone, or you're playing the game and you want to just have something to listen to in the background and learn a little bit more about the game. That's what I'm making this for. So look forward to that. It's not up yet. We're getting there. It's real close.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
And the first video is going to be the baby hive, right?
Yes. With Blue as special guest. Reading lyrics.
Be sure to vote for it.
I laughed so hard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I'm not gonna lie. It took me a couple takes to get through it without breaking down laughing.
Yeah, especially as a father to two small children
Oh, yeah.
who are totally into that. Yes, I thought that was great.
Yeah. Even Julie loved it. She thought it was hilarious. But that is actually on the community page on Bungie right now. So if you head over there, it's called Viral Chant, and I will make sure Blue puts it in our show notes or in the notes for it to go on the podcast. And I'm going to retweet it again here pretty soon, and just go over there. If you could put a little vote up there for us so we see if we can get a movie of the week, it would be very appreciated. Blue, are you ready to jump into things?
I am. Do we want to take a quick commercial break and then jump right into it?
Yep, we can do that.
Awesome. And
All
now
right,
that-
Blue.
Oh.
And we're back.
So real quick for just some what we've started to call the cocktail knowledge segment. The description of Titan that we got from way back, and I think it might still be up on the website. But it reads, the great monuments of mankind's utopian golden age now lie toppled or half submerged within the rolling ocean that blankets the entire surface of Titan. All that remains is a flotilla of construction barges and a lone human habitat that serves as the perfect hiding place for some of humanity's scattered forces, and some far more sinister below. So that's kind of the intro that we get from Bungie to Titan. Now, there's a few discrepancies that I do want to call out real quick, because I've seen this kind of mentioned a couple times as a potential conflict of lore within the community over on Reddit. So first off, we are playing a science fantasy game, so we have to put into suspension some of the facts that we have either just recently uncovered or that we have about Titan. Titan, in reality, is the largest moon of Saturn. It is actually the second largest moon in our solar system. Interestingly enough, it's actually larger than Mercury. So that's kind of put it in perspective there. And among the over 150 moons that we know about in our solar system, Titan is the only one with a substantial atmosphere and is the only place beside Earth that we know has liquids in the form of rivers, lakes, and seas on its surface. So there's a call out there real quick. In reality, Titan is not a solid ocean. it actually is pretty. It's not exactly the same, but it's pretty similar to Earth. It has dry areas on it. As far as the atmosphere, another thing that a lot of people have made comments about, because Sloane likes standing in her watchtower without her helmet.
She does have a lore reason for that.
Well, she also can actually do that because the atmosphere is made mostly of nitrogen, similar to Earth's. Now, the big difference here is that its pressure is 50% higher than Earth's. And so to kind of put that into an example, if and they did this as kind of like an example, say a raindrop falls on Earth and the same exact raindrop falls on Titan. If you assume that the raindrop is falling at 20 miles per hour on Earth, it's basically the calculation would state that it's gonna fall roughly 6 times slower on Titan. So it'd be only falling at 3.5 miles per hour on Titan. However, a lot of the rain that does occur on Titan is about 50 to 75% larger than Earth's. So a raindrop, here on Earth is really tiny. It's just a drop. Over on Titan, it's going to be significantly larger.
You're going to get hit by snowballs essentially over there.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And that's actually probably not too far from the truth because it's freezing. Like, it is cold over there. So I think the air on Titan is dense enough that you could walk around on the surface without a spacesuit. You don't need a spacesuit. However, you do require an oxygen mask and protection from the weather, which is a balmy negative 290 degrees Fahrenheit or negative 179 degrees Celsius. So, it's warm as everything over there. So like technically you can't, like, other than the cold, which will freeze your skin, if you can get past that, you don't need a spacesuit. You don't need that. The air and atmosphere are dense enough to actually chat. It's a bit nippy. Yeah, just a little bit. But I want to go back. It's not a solid ocean. It does have clouds. It has rain. It has rivers, lakes, and seas. The surface seas are actually liquid hydrocarbons. So we do see that on in game. It is going to be methane and ethane. Those are going to be the liquid hydrocarbons that a lot of the seas are made of. However, and we do have mention of this in the lore book, but there is believed that underneath a thick crust of water ice, there is actually believed that there is more liquid. And furthermore, the interesting thing about that is that under that sub-ocean is actually theorized to be water, not methane, which would be really, really interesting because that's where some of the... if Titan were to have life, that would be where entities similar to what we are familiar with would exist. And this is not to say that there can't be life on the surface lakes or seas. It would just be that the chemistry of those creatures would be much, much more alien to us because they would have to exist within an environment that is completely foreign to us. Another note real quick, Saturn and Titan are located roughly 10 times further away from the sun than Earth. So yeah, that's pretty far. And a single day on Titan, so a single rotation on Titan, is the equivalent of 16 Earth's days. And the reason why that is because Titan is basically tidal locked with Saturn. So what that means is that the same side of Titan will always face Saturn, and it takes roughly 16 Earth days for the moon to rotate around Saturn, which also is rotating around the sun. So that correlation of rotations equals... It basically takes roughly 16 Earth days for the sun to kind of go the whole way around. So that's really interesting.
Still faster than Venus, which takes a whole year.
Yes, which is an interesting little thing. And actually, I think I remember doing some look on the moon as well, because the moon is, I think it's like 1.36 times or something. It's something weird, but they actually have it. They have a calculator online. I can't remember where it was that I found it, but you could type in different planets and it would be like one day is equivalent to whatever on Earth days. It was for people who were writing science fiction. To help them kind of like get their head around the fact that, hey, when you say day, that's a Earth day, not a Venus day or whatever.
I mentioned that we do have a lore reason, and it is actually thematic to what we're talking about tonight. And Sloane does not wear a helmet because she moisturizes, according to the
I
card.
remember reading this.
It's in the new book, Duress and Egress. It's because she has this pilot talk back to her, and she's all puffy because I moisturized short timer. She became Jersey all of a sudden. Short timer.
I just like the fact that she instantly gains respect for the pilot because he backtalked her.
Mm-hmm. She's a Titan. Wait.
So yeah, I wanted to call a couple of those points out because I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, why is it solid ocean? And, there's a lot of different conversations about how that could have happened. And I'm not going to really weigh in because I have no idea. I just kind of have always chalked it up to it's, authors, like they're just taking artistic liberty and saying, hey, it's going to be a solid ocean because why not? I mean, and we might eventually get an explanation. I know there was one theory that it was because of the way that the syzygy kind of affected, it pulled the Earth or pulled the moon when it did the wave. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that one because the way I read The Last Days of Krakenmare, it seemed like it had already been an ocean. Like it seemed like it was already a solid ocean. That was just how I read that, so I don't know about that. But
I mean, they go under
right.
the
Well, and I guess the argument that you could make is that the arcology that we see and that is taking place in Krakenmare could have theoretically only been in one of the oceans. It never specified that the moon as a whole was covered in methane. Like it never specifically called that out. So I see a bit of wiggle room there if they do want to go back and clarify that, which to be fair, they don't really need to. So, but actually, speaking of The Last Days of Krakenmare, we did an episode kind of taking apart that book. That was back on episode 194. I will also link that in our show notes there. But that's pretty much like the beginning of what I would say is a good foundation to look at. I know we're going to talk a little bit about, the who and the where, I think is the next 2 points that you wanted to tackle.
And Ted, would you like to take the honors of that one? Talking about who's on Titan and what are the names on Titan and what kind of goes on in those places?
Sure. So obviously the world vendor is Sloane. That's your main point of contact there. Some of the enemies that you find on Titan are Cargol, who's the hive wizard in the methane flesh lost sector. And then you got Golmut, who's the hive ogre in the cargo bay, also known as Greg. Then you have Fanhole.
Whoa. Time out. Who's Greg?
That's the ogre.
What?
Yeah.
Right. How?
Greg.
Story.
That's his
Story
name.
time.
He was the easy ogre to go and find DPS numbers for different weapons before Season of Opulence came out, and his name was turned from Golmut to Greg because it was easier. Good old Greg.
Like it.
He seems a little bit friendlier than Fred, the phalanx who boops you off of Kate's stash mission.
Yeah. So we've got Randall, Fred, and Greg. Greg has thus turned into the ogre that you can summon in the tribute hall. So since he just stands there. But before that, it was the cargo bay ogre. So, especially back in the farming of the faction wars stuff.
Yeah, that was an easy one to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
We do have a new addition to all the different characters that have alternate names. Wicked has found this harpy on Io that is not an enemy harpy. It is a blue harpy. It won't harm you. It's not part of any mission. It's not part of any story.
Really?
He has dubbed it Bob. And it is Bob the friendly harpy.
There you go. Bob the friendly.
What else do you call a floating killer pet? Makes me think of Bob from Dredgen.
Oh yeah, the head, the skull.
Yeah.
There's a new one coming out soon.
Oh no, I need to catch up.
Mm-hmm. So
anyways,
we've done Golmut or Golmut
Yep.
or Greg.
Greg. Yep. Classic Greg. And then you've got Thon Hool, who is the knight in the DS Quarters 2 Lost Sector. You've got Carlog the Unliving, who is a Hive Knight in the Deathless Adventure. And the main forces that are on Titan are Fallen, Hive, and Taken. Other people you run into in some of the adventures is Mythrax. He's the Fallen Captain Enemy in the Enemy of My Enemy World Quest, which you see him later on in other locations as well.
Mm-hmm. Fun fact, Mythrax has a different colored mark, because essentially the Fallen have marks, cloaks. I guess they have cloaks too, but his on Titan, I believe, is blue.
Yeah, it's like a dark blue.
Yeah, and he's actually not named as Mythrax. He's just the Fallen Captain, and we find out later.
And that's if you side and decide to help him, because that's a choice, right?
Yes.
It is.
Yeah.
Which makes it very confusing if you killed him first.
Right. So that's kind of not a choice, but
which I think arguably is why they probably didn't name it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, true.
But locations on Titan?
Yep, so location-wise, we've got Siren's Watch, which is the landing zone, which has sinking docks and the methane flesh lost sector in it. Then you've got your middle part, which is the rig, which is also the landing zone, which has the cargo bay, where good old Greg is, and the DS quarters. And then you've got the big old solarium there, which has the... I don't even know how to say that. Arboretum, which is with the Chasm of Screams, which is the strike location, the Festering Halls, and then you've got the 2 Crucible maps, Pacifica and Wormhaven, that also take place on Titan.
Which I love Pacifica. It is one of my favorite maps because no one expects a bow on that map because it's such a shotgunner's map. I am such
Pacifica
a
is the
jerk.
above round 1, right?
Yeah, it's the one that has 2 layers where B is inside, and you have 2 levels right next to B that you can play on.
It's the one
Right,
that
yeah.
B is the grinding machine.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
But
The meat
But yeah.
grinder.
it's so good. It's such a good little map.
Wormhaven's the other one that B just gets into it just turns into a hamburger machine. Like
It's got the circle. It's more
yeah,
of a circular
B
map.
Wormhaven's the one that has like the plants on one side and the hive junk on the other side, and then B is in the middle of the base thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like
just outside
everyone
of the realm
just
for
goes
B.
into B to die. It's
They can't possibly keep throwing grenades in this hallway. Not on my watch.
I just love how Blue will use Wish Ender on that map because no one expects to just walk around the corner.
It's
and
so
get
much
beaten.
fun to play hide and seek with that thing. It's like and hi.
So the armor set that's tied into Titan is the Lost Pacific set. And that is something that this is one of the things that I would say you need to go and get before November. Just complete your collection if you're a completionist. just go and do it. There's some really interesting little bits of lore on it, but the Lost Pacific set, pretty basic naming convention all across. It's Lost Pacific mask, helm, helmet, grips, gauntlet, gloves, vest, and so on and so forth. So nothing surprising on that part, but we have a little bit of a throwback to the last days of Kraken Mare with Dr. Shanice Pell, and she has quotes on all of the pieces except for the class item. In the first section, in the head, she says, "I need more data," and "put the lab on yellow alert." On the arms, she says, "Send a deep space probe towards the anomaly. I want to know what it is." The probe's initial data makes no sense, and the signal died. What have we found? It's on the body. This research has to get out, even if I don't. People have to know what this anomaly is. That's on the legs. And then at the very end, the class item, Sloan has a little thing that says, "Sloan has these golden age spacesuits repurposed for Guardian armor." So in a lot of ways, this Lost Pacific items, armor pieces, actually set up the story of what we came to know as the last days of Mare. I think they were in a lot of ways probably the inspiration behind. Wouldn't you say that's probably a fair assessment, Blue? Because these have been in the game since the beginning.
Yeah.
Of D2.
Yeah, and I think the connection to the was it Revelation that Pell also showed up in?
Yes, on the moon.
Yeah. That was the connection that always, like, as soon as that came up, I was like, what? Like, that was where I connected the anomaly. Personally, that's where I connected the anomaly to, was with the information. Because then that also ties into, I think, what you were saying with the last days as why Rasputin brought the hammer down so hard on what they were trying to do. Because she had, Shanice had information that had been quarantined on the moon that she was going to try to spread, and because it was a contagion, basically, because of what we saw with the data doing it on the moon, Rasputin was like, basically he enforced a quarantine because he didn't want it to get out because of all the other trouble that they were having. He's like, and I don't need that running around.
There is one other item, the Cape of Last Departure. It's a hunter item, obviously, since it's a cape. And you get that one from completing the methane flush. And I think it's a blue, isn't it?
Yeah, it was. I don't even think it's available anymore because it was back with the factions. It was one of the faction items. Oh. It was for the Dead Orbit. It was one of their ornaments that was actually you got it as part of the Dead Orbit set. So I'm not sure. I don't think that particular ornament is even available anymore because I think it was, like I said, I think that was from. Because didn't we have like a faction? It was a faction rally back a while back, wasn't there?
Right.
When they did the new banners. Because they had like the basilisk.
Had salty time in the community.
Yeah, it was like the basilisk was this Dead Orbit, and then because New Monarchy got like a really they had a really cool they redid the logos of the factions, and it was during that time that you could get the Cape of Last Departure ornament.
That was when Dead Orbit had the green and this.
Yes, which the basilisk snake. Like I really still like that particular imagery that they have with that one.
And those were good shaders.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And actually, speaking of aesthetic stuff, real quick. Well, I guess. Do you want to take a breather before I jump into one of my favorite aesthetic aspects?
The thing that you actually like to chase in game?
Yeah. Well, as impossible as some of them are to chase.
Yeah. Let's do it just a little bit. So, quick commercial break. We'll be right back, and we will tackle the emblems. And we're back.
So
Blue, you want to take over?
emblems
This is your
are,
thing.
oh my gosh, I love the emblems because they have so many different components within them that are just really cool. So the emblems that are specific to Titan, we have a couple that are going to call out the Arcology. So we have Arcology Interface. This is a general emblem. You actually got this from one of Cade's treasure map stashes, and I don't think there was a specific one that you got that from. I don't believe, but it's just connected to the Arcology. The next one up is an open world emblem, and this is one that you got from completing activities or just ranking up with planetary vendors. Which open world emblems, that's usually how you get them. This one was Cargo Bay Cross. It's a pretty cool one. Then we have New Pacific Access, and then my favorite is the New Pacific Arcology. And the reason why I like this particular open world emblem is this is one of the few emblems that actually has variations. So New Pacific Arcology originally way back at the beginning of D2 was originally called the Lost Sector of Titan. That was actually the original primary. However, after update 1.1.3, they moved Lost Sector of Titan, which is the Lost Sector symbol. They moved that one to be a variation of New Pacific Arcology. That variation is called Golden Age Tarnished. I really like that particular one. You also have the variation called Utopia Lost, Sloane's Watchtower, and Hive Infestation. Now, the fun thing about this one is that these are all going to be open world emblems, and they all are they're unique, but they're also the same as all the other destinations. All the other destinations in Destiny 2 have the same logos. The color palette is going to be different for each location, and the names are also different. So this is the Titan variation. It is usually a combination of different shades of blue. It's really, seriously one of my favorite ones. The other emblem that's really cool is Sabathun's Song. This one also has variations, but this is a emblem that is attached to the Nightfall variant of the Strike that is available on Titan, Sabathun's Song. When you first complete the Nightfall, you will get the base emblem, which is just referred to as Sabathun's Song. If you go back and rerun the Nightfall, there's a specific threshold, and I can't remember what the threshold is, but because Nightfalls have the ability to set scores on them, once you hit a certain threshold, these different variations of this emblem will unlock. Those variations are Search and Rescue, Watcher from Beyond, and then finally Praxic Fire. And all of those are, they also kind of tend to be around the same, very colorful, very ornate looking of the Sabathun Song's emblem. Chat's telling me that it is 100K. Nope, now they're arguing. I don't know.
It used to be 100K.
20. Okay, Black Flag says 25, 50, and 100K for the different variations of the Nightfall, which that would make sense.
That makes sense.
So yeah, but I really like some of these emblems because you don't even realize that they have variations unless you hit on Xbox it's Y, and you can open it up, and when you open it up, it has a completely different sub menu than the other. Just like they're not even normal, but like most emblems will just have this is just that. The New Pacific Arcology and then the Nightfalls will have, if you hover over them, they'll have the option to open it up, and you can actually change that. That's how you change the emblem. So you can
do that with like the Crucible one and Gambit as well.
If any of the emblems that have the variations underneath them, it's just really cool.
Do you want to let slip why you enjoy the emblem so much? You keep sending me pictures of updates. I actually have yours up on the back wall. I'm gonna go real quick, or do you have yours?
I have this one. I'm still working on it. I don't know if that's visible, but I'm actually in the process of cross-stitching them.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I am working. I actually the version of the Lost Sector that I did for Titan was the Golden Age tarnished, because again it's just one it's a very iconic image. Like it's that Lost Sector logo.
Nice. Do you want to get into the weapons and the last couple of collectibles you can get from
Yeah.
Titan? Awesome. Ted, go for that one for
All
me,
right.
please.
So, from Sabathun's song, you can get Duty Bound, which is the auto rifle, and that has it's got Sloane's little badges on it, and then it's
Mhm.
got like this blade coming out of the front of it. And like most things on Titan, it's that kind of powdery blue. Um, I have never got this weapon, and
Oh,
I'm
really?
kind of sad about it. Yeah, I've done the Nightfall countless times at this point. I think my friends who I play it with have got it at least 3 or 4 times, and it seems to be Duty Bound and Horror's Lease that I can just never get. It's just not in my future. Apparently,
I'm waiting for rocket from Mars, from one from
yeah,
Mars.
the Braytech.
Mm-hmm. That's
I don't
my
remember
last
this,
ever
but
Wayfair.
oh man.
Mm-hmm. But
Um,
yeah,
yeah, so it's got some lore to it, where it looks, I think it's Sloane who
mm-hmm.
says, "Due respect, Commander. I was there when the Hive found us on Earth. I was there when we stopped them on Titan, and I'll be there when we wipe them out."
I like Sloane. She's
Yeah.
a vamp.
Really?
So I think
I believe isn't she the one that is the source of the argument of the most attractive
Tookus? Yes.
Tookus?
She
Yeah.
has the best Tookus. For all of our young listeners, so I can't say the other stuff. Ask your parents what Tookus is.
They will thank us later.
Titan is one of my favorite locations. I'm so sad that it's leaving because
too.
I'm a huge Aliens fan.
Mm-hmm.
All of this just screams that. Like Sloane is Ripley.
Yep.
Sloane is
I can
Ripley.
see that.
And this is all like interacting and playing like Aliens, the second movie. And I am there for it. I'm just so sad that it's going away with Beyond Light, but I am more than 100% certain it will be back once The Witch Queen comes out, and I think it will be different.
We will see. Did you guys see my video I posted on Twitter the other day? I had lured an unstoppable phalanx into her
yeah, I
area,
saw that.
and it was continually trying to bash her off the thing, and she's just sitting there talking to it like it's nothing. Like it's like, I want her armor. I don't care, I'm a hunter, I want her armor. Yeah. There's a few other
cool
things
to have
though.
those shoulders, so
Yeah. Shoulder
so
pad.
there's one of the ghost shells that pop up. I believe it's a green. It's the
Yeah, it's from way at the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you've seen it, it's probably been a long time. Again, it's just kind of that blue. Then there's some jump ships. You get the DSV Huygens.
Huygens.
9?
Yep.
Huygens 9.
Huygens.
Right. And that's Nautilus class aero sub, designed to move easily between methane submersion and low atmosphere flight. So for Titan specifically. And then you can grab some shaders, the new Pacific Sync and Pacific Rush, both of which have worn variants. They are blue and blue.
Mm-hmm.
Titan's blue.
It's a good color.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, real quick on Huygens. Huygens has a couple different like points of fact. First off, Christian Huygens was a huge name. He was a Dutch physicist, mathematician, astronomer, and inventor. And as that list kind of implies, he is by quite a few people regarded as one of the greatest scientists of all times. He was a huge proponent and a huge figure within the scientific revolution. And as an astronomer, he's actually chiefly known for his studies on the ring of Saturn and the discovery of Titan. Huygens is also the atmospheric entry probe that they actually successfully landed on Titan back in 2005. That was the ESA, the European Space Agency. So that there's a bit of connection between that, and then also the description of that particular jump ship is that it's a Nautilus class, and it's described as an aero sub, which I think is really cool. So.
Ooh. Are we ready for ghost scans?
Yes, ghost scans are gonna be fun.
Yep, so on Titan there are 20 different ghost scans. They are all over the place, anywhere from just patrol zones to missions, and I put them in order by location, which is kind of nice. I'm going to do 5 of them, and then we're going to kind of switch off a little bit, but I'm just going to read through them. Ghost Scan 1, which is on the rig and Titan, is Skolas tried to unite the houses but failed. Who would have thought that sheer desperation would succeed where he failed? Which is a nod towards the fallen houses kind of sort of coming together a little bit towards the end after everybody has nearly been defeated under Aramis. Then you have in the rig again, shipping manifestos. Looks like they traded frequently with the settlement. Wow. Way out there. It's called Hyperion. Huh. Little nod. Anybody want to throw in the little nod to Hyperion?
They have horses made out of diamond. I don't know why you would trade with them.
Oh my god. Borderlands reference. I was not expecting that, Blue. I was not expecting that from you. Handsome Jack. May he rest in pieces.
May he rest in pieces.
Third scannable on the rig. The Fallen need servitors to provide them with ether, unless they found a replacement like Siva. Gosh, I hope there's no Siva on Titan. So that used to be a small thing of debate, whether or not the Siva actually made it to Titan as well. We've kind of sort of found out that since it's more of a colonization thing on Titan, theoretically it could be, but there was no instances that we know of. In the rig number 4, yet another strain of hive. They're doing an awful lot of testing out here, trying new things with magic and breeding. There's a running theme on Titan with the hive, and it's not breeding. Let me make that clearer first thing. It's the experimentation. The hive like to try a lot of different things, and we're going to see that in the advanced episode when we get into the adventures in particular. And the 5th one that I have for the rig is the idea was that the facility produced 0 waste. Everything organic ended up fertilizer, and everything else got used in manufacturing. Grand plans that didn't pan out. A little bit more of kind of the ecology of Titan, or at least the intention for the ecology of it. Blue, you want to get the sinking dock?
Yeah, so Sinking Docks has also 5. The first one is a Golden Age console, and a user is still logged in. Lilani Valero, Marine Tech number 426. She was in the middle of logging an emergency of some kind. So there's I think that I kind of took that as a nod to one of the things that happened in the Last Days lore book. The next one is the gravity on Titan is at approximately 1.352 meters per second squared, except here. These floating rocks must be a residual effect from some hive magic. I'm trying to remember where that was. Is that
guy? It's the floating rock. If you go into Sinking Docks, there's like the command center area, and
Oh,
you go
yeah.
down,
Okay.
and then you go
Okay.
through
Yeah.
a little hallway, and it's the little glowing orange rock
Yeah.
as
Okay.
soon as you go into the next.
Right. So then the next one is it's a cocoon of some kind. The life inside it isn't hive exactly. This could be how the hive's symbiotic worms grow. So that's fun. The next one is screen's dead, but the feed's still running. Ooh, kind of a catchy jingle. New Pacific Arcology. The next frontier is you.
Do you remember the opener I did for the Titan episode way back when?
The do. The power one.
Yeah.
I think I have it
I
somewhere.
did the Arcology. I actually did a welcome to the Lost Pacific. It was just- I had to look.
I just like Ghost is like, oh, that's kind of a catchy jingle. The next one is Ghost being very judgy. The Arcology's operating system isn't very smart. Nothing even close to an AI. Lots of entries here, different names. It may not have had a personality, but it made living here better for a lot of people. So that thing is not nearly as smart as I am, is what Ghost is saying. But then fails to open a door.
Yeah. It was just programmed to do what it was doing. I'm sure that the AI with no personality on Titan could open that door.
Mm-hmm.
But let's figure out Festering Halls. Ed?
So the second one you can find in Festering Halls. These hive spawn pods are different from the ones we saw before. Maybe a different brood or a different generation? Gross and confusing. Back to that experimentation you were talking about.
We have only one brood technically on Titan, right? Like we had
that we've seen.
We have the base brood, and then we had the knight with the experiment that's in the adventure, the Deathless adventure. But he's technically still part of the same brood. I don't think there's any other aspect of him beyond that. I don't know. They had a lot of open threads, I think, in Titan that they didn't pull. And these dialogues definitely gave us a chance to see that.
Which is why I think when it comes back, it's going to be a lot cooler. I hope so anyway. Crossing my fingers.
Hopefully.
The third one you can find in Festering Halls. You've got a couple different options depending on if you're a veteran or not. So the veteran dialogue goes, we saw this rune before. On the Dreadnought, it means either doorway or treasure or chamber. Perhaps the Hive use this rune to tap into their throne world dimensions. And then you've got the non-veteran dialogue, which goes, Hive runes draw their power from different dimension, where there's no difference between a word and its meaning. When the Hive erode the barrier between our dimension and theirs, the rune for death brings literal death.
I like the non-veteran dialogue, and not just here on Titan, but just in other places, because you get a little bit more simplified information, I think, rather than things they assume you know.
Right.
There's a particular thing that happens in IO when you're running the first mission for the Taken. Ikora explains what the Taken, which is brilliant. Like, thank you for doing that. Like, just thank you. Instead of just being like, oh, these are the Taken that we saw back in. It's like, no, people don't know what the Taken are. They didn't read the lore books.
Yeah.
There were books.
Grimoire, whatever. We have books.
There's 3 of them.
Yeah. Book of Sorrows. Anyway. Abortum?
Abortum, the first one there, reads, the screen is broken, but the data flow is intact. It's streaming some kind of commercial talking about all the wonders of living in the new frontier of humanity. Yeah.
Just another cheeky to the commercialism that it seemed like Titan seemed to have.
Yep. Yeah, it's definitely got like a Wayland Yutani vibe for sure. Come here. It's all great. There's no monsters. Definitely no monsters here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the only thing that they had on record of quote unquote being a monster on Titan at the time was the Leviathan was known to be around. And then there were also the little sea creatures. Blue, do you remember what those were?
The
Because they used to
divers?
swim with them.
The divers?
Yeah, the divers went. Yeah, but
Serpent
the
one,
divers.
not the worm one, right?
Right. The serpent Leviathan that you can see out by the Siren's Watch over
Mhm.
by Sloan. That was there apparently before the collapse happened.
Yeah, because I think, what was it? You're gonna get that one. On Siren's Watch, there's a console there.
Mhm.
I guess my question I'll ask it when you get there. But the only other subaquatic entities that have mentioned are the divers, which are not really ever explained as what they are. They kind of seemed like they were like either like a squid or even like a dolphin type thing, but they didn't seem the need to come up and breathe because they were caged underneath the water.
So, Ted, I gave you my favorite scannable. It's the next one.
The number 2.
Yeah. Oh no,
Alright.
number 3. Number 3 is
Okay.
my favorite. But Titan number 2. Go ahead.
Number 2. This looks like a camera. I wonder if no, the data is all corrupted, as if the operating system has short-term memory loss. It forgets what it sees a few minutes after it happens.
Well, no, duh. We took the CPU out. That's probably not what happened, but that's what I'm going to say.
We took it out and we put it in a tank.
This is true.
Or
All
what
right.
would be? What would be a
Yeah.
tank?
Favorite one. The
All
one that
right.
continuous gag now.
Number 3. The Arboretum crop yields 20 tons of palm figs, 12 tons of kiwi cumbers, 12 tons of pineapples. Pineapples? What a weird idea for a fruit.
I love that one. I love how that has become a running gag with Eris
Pine-
now too.
Apples?
Pineapples?
I actually really want to try a kiwi cumber
No.
because that sounds pretty good.
No.
Not gonna lie.
If it'd
Yeah.
be much different since they're both very watery.
Right, but it would be a giant kiwi in my mind. Like it would
Oh, I
be
see.
a elongate. Like
just
kiwis are
I-
never
I
unlovely. The tiny little
I
thing they
pictured
are.
honestly I pictured it the other way. It would be a very
Really?
short
short
fuzzy
cucumber.
cucumber.
I mean, they have short cucumbers. You can get those guys. That's not new.
It'd almost
I
be
wanna-
like
I wanna-
a spider
Huh.
leg at that point, like a big, long, hairy cucumber.
Oh, this is gonna go south.
You want to talk about sea cucumbers? They have a really fun. Never mind. Let's move on.
Last 5. Tidal anchor. It seems these floating stones mark places where the hive have weakened the line between our world and theirs. Bet all the weird magic they have out here comes from sources like this. So just kind of another connection to the Ascendant Realm with the hive at least. Tidal anchor 2. Looks like the Fallen tried to chain it close. A for effort, guys, but I'm not sure this is how we're gonna beat the hive. Like,
I just
we'll
like the
just
fact he's
put a
like,
lock
yep,
right
you know.
the Fallen
My
tried.
work here is done.
You can, I mean, I've got some chain in the back of my. Let's try it. You never know.
There you go. I mean, they're really good at
Maybe-
jerry-rigging things, so...
Yeah, this is true. This is true. We're gonna get into that as well in the advanced episode. Siren's Watch, our final location. From this console, a Golden Age technician locked down the shipyard and forbade all future arrival. The entire Arcology was undergoing an emergency evacuation. She signed off. I wonder if she made it out. We actually know the answer to that. No. She did not.
This way to
You either
dash
got
everybody's
shot-
dreams.
Cliffhanger.
Chat's going, no, 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 no.
Oh, she did.
Another one on Siren's Watch is the Fallen Antenna. The Fallen houses each used to have their own unique encryption, but now the codes they're using are all variants of the House of Kings.
Dun,
Kind of
dun,
another.
dun.
A little scary with the Mythrax tie-in there too.
Yeah, the Aldrin.
Last one. That too. This system used to detect underwater vessels looking to dock here at the shipyard. That's strange. It still works. And it's picking something up. Something below us. And very, very big. So you wanted to ask a question, Blue, about this one?
Well, I was just going to say, like, the way that it sounded to me like he was picking up something currently. Not necessarily it was picking up something previous.
Oh, yeah, but there's a mention about the Leviathan in the last days of Kraken Mare, because the divers were going down there, too. I swear that they mentioned the Leviathan then.
Do
That
they?
is something that I'm
Okay.
I may be remembering it wrong, and please
Because I know, like, the
say that-
divers, like, what was his name? Mari? I can't remember his name.
Maui?
No. The guy who, the very last guy who gets hit by the wave, he went down to free the divers. But and that's kind of what chat had mentioned. I think it was Veru had mentioned it in chat that the divers could be a potential, like, early stage of what we see now. But like because they had him in a cage and he was freeing the divers so that they would at least have a chance, because the God wave, quote unquote, was coming. But I don't remember.
It may be just misremembered, but I seem to.
Yeah, and
I know there's a mention in the.
Veru is bringing up the Grimoire card about the 9 are ancient Leviathan intelligences from the seas of Europa or the hydrocarbon pits of Titan.
Mm-hmm. That could be where I was misremembering from, but the other thing to remember is that Europa was not terraformed by the Traveler. So this
And
creature,
neither was Titan.
Correct. This creature on Titan was somehow there.
Mm-hmm.
It was not actually created through the process of the Traveler.
Correct. And the reason, to go back to the terraforming comment real quick, the reason we know that it wasn't terraformed was, so from the lore book, we actually get that confirmation. But there also is a dialogue from the Arcology AI that's when you're running through the Solarium, I think it is, that says 34% of Titan citizens hope that the Traveler will terraform the ocean moon soon. So it had not happened at the time of the disaster, which would have been concurrent with the collapse. So obviously it didn't happen.
All right. We should wrap this one up. We did go a little bit longer on this one than we have been, but this advanced episode, we're going to get into it, more of the stories and the missions. Blue, do we want to do shout-outs, or do we have any other final thoughts?
I think shout-outs would be a good thing. I think we can wrap in on any thoughts from this one in the beginning of the advanced session, just to help with the time.
Sure, sounds good. Ted, do you have any shout-outs for us?
I do not.
Easy enough. My shout-out,
No.
or actually, yeah. My announcement is that next week we will not be recording live. We are actually not recording at all next week. We are taking a small break on the 31st of July. I think that's the date that we were supposed to. It's either the 30th or the 31st. We won't be here next week. But the week after that, Blue and Pens are likely going to be talking about a very recent release of a trailer about Halo Infinite. Infinity?
Infinite.
One
Nope.
of the things.
Infinite.
Yeah,
Infinite.
whatever.
I always confuse it myself.
Grappling hook.
Yeah.
That is all I'm going to say.
Infinity is the ship. To be fair, that's why I always flip them. I always confuse them. And I have to constantly be like, infinity. No, infinity's the ship, so it's Halo Infinite. Yes, and Brute's throwing grunts, which was a hilarious component. Oh, and you can pick up fusion coils, which is so exciting. Yeah, actually, that was gonna be my thing. If you have no, it's fine. I will never ever forgive you. If you have any topics or questions. Having face cams make this so much more entertaining. If you have any questions, please be sure, or thoughts on what we've seen about Halo Infinite, I do really want to hear them. And I know Pens will as well. So be sure to use, we have not used it recently, but if you guys want to use the hashtag Ask FFC over on Twitter, or email us any thoughts or questions that you have about it at focusfirechat@gmail.com. That would be amazing. We would love to hear your thoughts, your hopes, your dare I say criticisms on the little bit of the trailers that we've seen, the bit of gameplay that we have seen so far. Other than that, I think that's all I have for that. So just as always, thank you for your time. And until next time, remember, with wisdom we conquer, stand strong, stand tall, and keep exploring.
Cool. Break time. Ted, you still good to keep going, or how you doing over there?
Good.
Doing good?
Oh yeah, the Step In trailer. That was an amazing one.
I'm gonna go grab some more water real quick, Blue, and take a short bathroom break, and then I will be back.
All right. Night, Pens. Hey, Angel. Well, no promises, Pens. No promises. Don't burn the place down. Raz, you're in charge. That does not follow. Season 2's finale was really good, and season 3, I was absolutely amazed that they wrapped everything up, with the exception of a few very minor things. Like I was not expecting them to be able to wrap as much of the shenanigans that they got up to in season 3 up, not let alone the first 2 seasons. But yeah, they did. I do have like a qualm with the fact that one of the characters did not get any acknowledgement in the ending, and that character was rather instrumental throughout the season 3.
What are we talking about?
Dark season 3. Yeah, no, Veru, I totally agree with that. Like I was not expecting it to end on a high note like it did. I also really wasn't expecting one of the characters that got a good ending to get a good ending after the shit they pulled throughout the entire show.
Okay. Jay, do you need to go or anything?
Yes, I'm
before
gonna
we
go
start
grab
the
water
next
real quick. I'll be right back.
Okay. Do the things. Have you been watching anything, Ted, or?
I started watching. There's this new docu-series on Netflix. I don't remember what it's called, but it's about the end of the mob in New York.
Mm,
It's
that's cool.
really fascinating, and how they ran and how hopeless everybody was in the 70s and 80s, and how they had to be creative in order to take them down. Like, so
Nice.
far I'm only a couple episodes in, but it's fascinating. I think it's really good, and it's definitely the stuff that you think were just stories or
Mm-hmm.
exaggerations. Nope.
Oh, really?
Nope. Nope. The mob is pretty much exactly how you think it was.
Wicked. But I have to allow that. You do realize when you guys type some of this stuff out, I have to approve some of the stuff you're saying in chat. Just saying. I have to. It's like Raz said bondage earlier, and it caught it and flagged it. It's like, gosh.
If there's
Yeah.
any random like piano in the background, my cat has woken for the night,
Oh,
and
really?
that's his new thing. He's 17 years old. Never
Mm-hmm.
once has he touched this piano, but like the last couple weeks, he really likes jumping on the lower keys.
Yeah.
Scares the crap out of me every time. Just boom. Just
At least you have like a real piano. I have this electric one. But I kind of wish the real physical piano. Something, the action on the
yeah.
keys is so much different. Even though it's, I mean, they've gotten it close over the years, but mine is an old one, so it's
Mm.
still very, very different. I didn't know you played.
I am a percussionist. That's what I went to school for, and that's what I
Oh,
got
nice.
my degree in. Um, but then since I have switched career fields into IT, that's what I've
Oh,
been
yeah.
doing. Yep.
Yeah. Do you have a marimba still, or did you ever?
I had a vibraphone at one point,
Okay.
but then I had children, and
Yeah.
that went away. I still have uh, my drums and stuff downstairs, my kit and
Nice.
everything, but most of the big, loud, fun stuff is gone.
Did you ever? Were you more symphonic, or did you play as rock?
I did both. I've been
Okay.
in a lot of local symphonies, and I've also
Mm-hmm.
been in the Des Moines Symphony Orchestra, and I did that for about 6 years or so.
Okay.
I got in high school with my drum instructor was a part of it, and he asked me
Mm-hmm.
to join in on a few things. But
That's awesome.
yeah, and then we've got a local uh, at our town square. We've got a gazebo set up,
Mm-hmm.
and for the past 113 years, there is a city band who we set up
Mm-hmm.
there, and we
Mm-hmm.
play every Thursday night in the summer, and people come and they play. This is the first year that they haven't done it since then, for good reason, but
Right.
yeah, that's always fun, and I've been in that band almost 20 years.
Nice.
You can join as a middle
'Cause-
schooler, and I
Mhm.
jumped on that. I always thought that was really cool. So
That's really fun. You got a lot of performance experience because
mm-hmm.
playing outside is so different. We did
Oh
a
yes.
outdoor concert a few times, and playing a march outside, Sousa, we always had a Sousa.
Oh
My
yeah.
director was huge into it. He was an old military band member. It's so much harder to play out than it is to play
Mm-hmm.
indoors because you just can't hear. You just can't. It's without a lot of more challenging.
Oh yeah.
That's cool. Did you know that you are not the only person in the lore, like the lore-ish community, who is a symphony member?
I
Or
did
was a
not.
symphony member? Orchid. Orchid.
Oh,
Guardians of Lore is a violinist.
well, there you go.
Mm-hmm. And she was telling me that she had gotten some new pieces. What's Blue laughing at? Probably because we're talking music, because he was gone.
You shouldn't
Yeah.
You shouldn't check Twitter.
I will say though, there is a different consistency in what I had to play symphonically than what Orchid probably did, because
Mhm.
my range can go from playing big four, huge timpani to just a triangle, and then sit down for another 50 minutes and call it a
Yeah.
day.
Yeah. I don't know. There are some pieces that I'm like, I don't envy the percussionist, either because you are running all over the place switching like 6 different instruments, or you do not the whole time and you just have to be stoic.
Trying to be quiet while switching the
Mhm.
instruments is the worst part, especially when you
Oh,
know
yeah.
that it's everybody's watching you in a symphony setting, and it's fun.
Blue.
But did you know?
Did you know that Pluto's not a planet?
Lies.
Oh, goodness. All right, so advanced session. I'm going to move past this before everybody catches up in chat. Damn it. I corrected myself. Blue's just being an asshole.
All right, I'm checking Twitter. What's going on?
Damn it. Burrow.
But did you know? The best part is I wasn't expecting to find a gif of him saying that.
I know, right?
I was like, this is perfect. I was going for a snarky one, but that just was like, oh, well, pop.
Too perfect.
Oh, shit. No, that was half of my gifts are not intentional. I love how everyone's like, you have such a gift collection. No, I've just been really lucky with my searches on Giphy.
There you go. It's a talent.
It's apparently it is. I scared someone at work the other day because they're like, how do you have these many GIFs? I was like, you installed a chat app that has Giphy plugged into it. This was your own mistake.
Also, the Verizon just updated and they implemented using Giphy in their text messages.
Yeah, I have.
Beforehand, it was some other random thing, but
Oh, I have. So I use Google Messages, but then I also have the Google keyboard, and it has Giphy embedded inside it. It's all. I think it's always had it.
It's awesome. Yeah, I have Fi, and that's
nice.
really handy.
Nice.
Okay. You guys good?
Yep.
Alrighty. Welcome to Focus Fire Chat, recorded live on July 24th, 2020, over on twitch.tv/FocusFireChat as we continue our discussion over the information regarding Titan. This particular episode will serve as what we have come to call the advanced session of the week's exploration. Congratulations to those who have signed up for a deeper dive. Before we go any further, however, let's run through a quick introduction of who all we have with us on the show. As always, this is your host, Blue Crew 86.
And this is the indubitably, I don't know if it actually works in that sentence or not, green-eyed music lover.
But did you know?
But did you know?
But did you know?
Did you know that Titan is not a planet? It is a moon.
Green
It is technically not even a moon, it is a satellite, if we're going to be extra specific. Blue has been teasing me because my tweet for
is it though? Because I would. Well,
episode.
I guess it would be considered. Yeah, yeah, it would be, wouldn't it? Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and last but definitely not the least, in the hot seat as guest co-host, we have our good friend, Professional Ted. Ted, how are you doing?
Hello. I am doing fantastic.
Mm-hmm. We've been laughing it up in between shows, so and
Indubitably
music.
in chat.
You know, it's fine.
No, in chat, it's indubitably.
You know, I'm gonna be the Bryn of this episode, and if you don't know who Bryn is a shoutcaster for Overwatch League, and he throws out the most random words, and he puts things in there that aren't supposed to be there, like indubitable or
Indubitable.
indubitably. It is great.
This is totally gonna be a new emote.
Ow.
I don't know. We'll have to figure that one out.
Fine.
Oh, but enough with chatter. I know everyone is looking forward to diving into the discussion, so let's just get right into it. I know we had talked about Titan as kind of like this planet that had a theme, right? You had mentioned that it had a theme, and it was not breeding.
Correct.
But so if it's not breeding, Green, what could possibly be the other theme?
Well, let me tell you
Chat,
a
it's
story.
totally breeding.
This is why you need to be here in live chat with us. It's always a lot of fun with a lot of inside jokes going on. But the overarching theme for Titan when it comes to the enemy races is, except for the Taken, which is a newer development on Titan, is that the Hive are experimenting and the Fallen are scavenging.
Yep. The Hive are experimenting with breeding.
As well as other things, yeah. That is one thing. They're also experimenting with music. They're experimenting with gravitational waves.
Yeah, you gotta come up with those new lyrics for the viral chant.
Mm-hmm. Yes, new baby hive.
do. So story missions.
Yes, let's go into story missions. All right.
The Hive are in their college phase.
Oh my gosh.
That explains the mess.
It also explains why that, and they're also in the the DS quarters for the Lost Sector. Like, they're taking over all. Anyway, I'm gonna go into the story missions before we digress even. Oh, gosh. Having to pop all the eggs. And the first mission, which is Hope. Hey, segue back. I'm gonna bring it right back. Hope is the first mission that we do on Titan back during the Red War. It is after everybody has basically panicked and fled the last city because of the Cabal taking over. It is where you have Zavala being an emo kid. And Sloane basically says, I got this, let's do this, kind of thing. And so you go through and you're working your way towards the Siren's Watch. You have to take out a Hive breeding ground, which we spend quite a lot of time in during the patrols, because that is where not only fallen servitors show up, but also a Hive wizard. So it is a very easy farming area. Beyond that, we go into Riptide, which is the continuation of the story for
Real quick
Red
on
War.
Hope.
Okay.
This is also where the Guardian informs the Vanguard that they have regained their light, which is where the title of that mission comes from. Because Zavala, that's why Zavala is like in such a funk, is because if everyone remembers, in the Red War, this was right after the Traveler had gotten blooped and it cut off the light for all the Guardians. So this was where we actually sought Zavala out. And he was like, it's not possible. And we were like, nope, we're immortal. We got this. So, sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
Riptide.
You're good. Riptide is a fairly simple one. It is the mission where you have to go and power scrub the pistons that are in the wave that actually generate the power for the rig and everything else around it. So you have to go over and power scrub, aka shoot it with a gun until the hive gun come off, and then you also take out a wizard at the end. Pretty simple one, straightforward. Sloane leads that mission. I don't even remember if Zavala has any voice lines in that one at all. I do know that Zavala does speak in Utopia, which is the third mission on Titan, and in Utopia, that is where you get to see the giant sea serpent for the first time in the CPU room with the giant glass wall, and the sea serpent just floats by ominously. Not floats, swims, supposedly. Maybe he floats. I don't know. He's a Leviathan. Leviathan, lowercase, not upper. But in Utopia, we steal the CPU to help decrypt Red Legion in transmissions that they have intercepted to try to figure out about the Almighty. So when we actually get the CPU back to Sloan, they find out about what the Almighty is, and that's how we actually continue the story of war. Fun facts, though, with Utopia, Blue kind of mentioned this a little bit ago about how when you're going through the Arbitorium, I think. It's either that or the Solarium.
Solarium. I can't remember which specific one.
But when you're moving through that, you hear the PA system come on, and there are 3 things that kind of get said there. The location is called the New Pacific Arcology, the bright future of space colonization in the shadow of Saturn. And then Blue, in the intro episode, had mentioned 34% of Titan citizens hope that the trailer will terraform the ocean moon soon. And the last announcement, which I think is kind of neat, is that there is going to be a lecture on the terraforming of Io. So that lecture takes place.
No, sorry.
Yes, the Cassini Library. So that's a fun little shout out. The Cassini Library is actually a small, I wouldn't say Easter egg, but it is a nod to an actual NASA mission that ended back in 2017 called the Cassini mission. And in this mission, it was basically like a little satellite type thing like we have. It's craft. Did a lot of research around Saturn itself, and on September 15, 2017, it actually kind of nosedived into the planet to send the last bit of data towards us as it was diving in. So we actually have a little bit of information about it before Saturn basically squishes it because of the gravity.
And also, real quick on that mission is connected to the jump ship that we talked about, because that mission's full name was the Cassini-Huygens mission. It was a collaboration between NASA, the ESA, or the European Space Agency, and the Italian Space Agency. So it was a huge project that included the Titan IV rocket, and I think it originally launched in like 97. I think does that sound right? It was 97.
I don't remember when it first started.
But it reached its destination and got into the orbit in 2004. So it was a huge project between these 3 big groups, and it was named after Cassini, because Cassini was the probe, and then Huygens was the lander. So it was just it's a really cool little bit of information that we've gathered from that mission. It's been immense amount of information about the outer reaches of things.
Blue, I'm going to let Ed take the next section because I'm going to give him my favorite mission on Titan.
So the other mission that happens is after the events in Forsaken, which is the Ace in the Hole mission, which you do when you're doing the Ace of Spades quest, if I remember correctly.
Yes, it's towards the end of, I believe.
And it's in the Festering Halls, which is where you drive that what will be our tank after you collect the CPU in Utopia and stuff like that. And this is where Cade has hidden his goodbyes to whoever kills him. So you find one for Eris, you find one for Tenix the Scarred, who was in D1. You find one for the Drifter, find one for Petra, the minds behind the deep stone crypt, Hawthorne, just in case, the hunter who kills me, Zavala, Ikora, and one for our guardians, us.
Would you want to actually read through some of these? Because I think that a lot of tiny hints towards, well, not only the future, a slight conflict, I guess, in the future for us actually comes from this mission itself.
You want
You want-
the one to us?
The one in particular I'm talking about is actually the one to Petra, because
Okay.
there's a hidden message in this one.
Yeah. That's number 4.
Mm-hmm.
So the message to Petra reads as follows. Petra, if you're listening to this, you killed me. Maybe the Sovs and all their mysterious wisdom decided they were sick of me? And if the Queen ordered the hit, I guess I understand. You're a real glutton for chivalry. But if it was Aldrin, I'm pissed. Just thinking about that peacock's gives me a headache. But I'm betting my death was another case of your famous collateral damage. Because you're a real do-gooder. Seriously, it's annoying, but good deeds never go unpunished when you're around. You got a blast radius. PV, well, it was fun while it lasted. Oh, and tell Paladin Orin if the sun over Nessus escapes Nebula's cycle. Evac labor after dawn under solstice. You got that, PV?
So, fun thing about this is what Blue loves to call the enchilada entry. Just gonna let him wheeze it out.
Totally accurate statement right there. It's on enchilada. I don't know
is.
why this is not canonically true.
Okay, so fun fact about Petra and Petra's correspondence with a few different people. When Paladin Orin is invoked in a message to Petra, it is often actually a code key phrase that indicates that the message itself it's in code, which is not hard to figure out. It is literally the first letter of every word creates a new phrase. And this one in particular, if the sun over Nessus escapes nebula cycle, evac labor after dawn under solstice. That is it. It's on Enchilada, according to Blue, but it's on a planet or a moon actually. I believe is Enceladus. Isn't it a moon of Jupiter, or is it a moon of a different?
I want to say it's a moon of Saturn, but I think it's Saturn. Sixth largest moon of Saturn. Yes. It's about a tenth the size of Titan.
Think that the deep stone crypt was what he was talking about. Never clarified ever, but now with that we know that the deep stone crypt is likely on Europa, not Enceladus.
Right, and the reason why Enceladus was kind of a good idea there is that the entire most of the entirety of the moon is covered by fresh, clean ice. It actually is one of the most reflective bodies in our solar system because it is such so clean. The ice is so clear.
Always called it Enceladus.
I always called it enchilada because.
Yes, he does.
Well, Enceladus sounds like salad too, so you got.
No, that works too. Taco salad. There we go.
Oh Lord.
Europa, however, is a moon of Jupiter, not Saturn.
There wasn't really anything else in the dialogue for that mission that I thought was super important for the future. Kate is snarky. It's very sad. that's about it.
The long, slow
I
whisper.
don't. That's true. I'd forgotten about that one. Where is that one's in the mines from the
yeah.
Deepstone Crypt. And that
Yeah.
one reads, this one's for the mines behind the Deepstone Crypt. You think just 'cause you made me, you can unmake me? Hey, I understand. I were you, I wouldn't want people knowing what I did either. Guess you better hope I didn't tell anyone about the crypt. Or about, what was it? Oh yeah, long, slow whisper. 'Cause if I did, that would be real bad for you, huh? I may be dead, but I guarantee you ain't heard the last of me. Do you think Long Slow Whisper will turn up during
I'm hoping so.
next
I'm
season?
hoping so. Well, I don't know if it'll turn up next season. I hope maybe we get a hint of it. But I assume that the long slow, I mean, my kind of theory about the long slow whisper is that's part of the upload process. Or the backup process. It's probably a communication relay, some process between the Exos and the Deepstone Crypt.
Ted, what do you think about the Long Slow Whisper?
I always thought it was for their backups and
just within the Deepstone Crypt.
Yeah, within the crypt there, but I always when hearing that one, my mind focuses on who would be around to get that message. And what concerns me more about that is like the thought of there being sleeper cells, you know,
Yeah.
from Clovis Bray just kind of hanging around still. And that's usually where my mind goes there, and not so much. I don't think I've thought too much on the actual whisper, but that would be really cool if something happened in Beyond Light, since we're getting the raid there.
It would be interesting to see if we meet an Echo that's not crazy.
Yeah.
Because we had that the Legacy episode where Blue and I went through and talked about the Echo that was on that base. that floating base,
thing.
rather. Yeah, gosh, the guy who's basically been driven mad by being reset thousands of times.
2,400 some odd times, I think.
Yeah. If he was meant as an exo to be a guide essentially to help establish the new colonies and outside the rim and everything of their solar system, it would stand to reason that they would have something specifically there at the Deepstone Crypt help with that, manage that. Whether it's I don't know if it necessarily would be an exo, but it could theoretically be some sort of exo. Chad's going crazy saying they want to see Clovis Bray there.
It would be
Not
crazy. Just thinking about like the power to wipe somebody, because the Exo are as much of people as everybody else is, and the fact that you could just erase somebody and either let them start again or use that as a punishment, and then they having no idea what's going on, is creepy. It's scary.
Yeah.
It's
I want to know
I don't like it.
if we go to the Deepstone Crypt, if the Deepstone Crypt is a requirement for a certain type of wipe, we in some ways know that it's not, because Banshee has been wiped within not necessarily our life cycle in the game, but at least within the city cycle, because there's old logins where he's trying to log in as an old number. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how it ties into exo history. Blue, I think we should head to a commercial break and then jump into the adventures before we get down this.
Yes.
So, listen to other people from our new radio network, Robots Radio. And now we're back with Green and her creepy voice. Now, adventure time. Let's go into adventures. Blue, you want to take these guys?
Planetary adventures are always fun. The first one that we get on Titan is called Thief of Thieves. This one is basically Sloan gets really pissed. And it's really funny because about halfway, or actually a little bit into the mission, Zavala actually takes over the mission because Sloan, quote, Sloan has stepped away for the moment. The things she's shouting would blister your ears. May I recommend finding that beacon? So basically, Fallen have been stealing repair tools from all of Sloan's workers that are, around the area trying to fix things. And so you've basically been tasked with, go get the stuff back. So you recover the tools, and then you find a bigger stash of Golden Age materials that the Fallen were planning on using that they had also scavenged. So Sloan and you basically decide, okay, well, we're going to steal that. So we become thieves. But in the process of stealing it, you put a beacon on it so it can get picked up. Well, the beacon gets stolen, and that's when Sloan just loses it, and Zavala takes over. And so you then start chasing different, I think there were different groups of Fallen that you basically end up chasing down.
Marauders.
And you get your beacon back. To go back and transmit, but it was just the best thing because you're trying to steal something from the Fallen and they end up stealing from you. It's just like this huge game of who get hot potato with a beacon.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh! But yeah, the Sloan temper tantrum is the best part.
Buru has another really good line from that mission in chat. Ghost says, "This one looks thievier than the other one." There's some great comedic moments in this adventure for sure.
Well, isn't that in their name too? Are they like Fallen Thief or something like
Mm-hmm.
that?
Yeah, I think that.
Yeah.
That would. So that one then. So once you get done with Thief of Thieves, the next one that you basically get is Bad Neighbors, and in this one, the Fallen are using fuel cells to build an explosive countermeasure to the Hive. So basically you are in this weird position of kind of shooting everyone so that they stop fighting. And the Hive have put a resonator on top of the tidal anchor tower, so the Ghost and the Guardian use the Hive disruptor to destroy it.
And the Hive disruptor is the fuel cell that they had jerry rigged. Because
you didn't see that there were air quotes around Hive disruptor.
Yeah, Ghost actually calls it that, and Ghost names it, and Sloan is asked what it is, and he basically says, "Oh, nothing." We're gonna call it a Hive disruptor.
Don't worry, we'll take care of it. And so once you get the Bad Neighbors adventure done, that opens up Siren Song. Siren Song is where you this actually is a really fun one too. So what's happened is there's a gravity wave generator that the gravity wave generators are the engines that are giving the rig the power, and the Hive have basically started to kind of work to destroy one. And so they're trying to destroy it. So you've basically been tasked with, okay, you got to stop them. So after finding a few of the generators, you locate a large crystal that is, air quotes, singing. And this is also where you get to meet one of the named Yellow Bar Knights. This one is Naukthor, the Crystalline, protecting it. Once you defeat him, Amanda pops up and she wants to steal the crystal for research purposes. She wants to try to put it on it.
Many things
she can power with.
How many things she can power? Yeah, ships.
I believe there was a ship and a sparrow mentioned.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, 'cause I believe there was a ship and a sparrow mentioned.
Ships, sparrows.
I believe there was a ship and a sparrow mentioned.
Uh-huh.
this part
And
has always unsettled me. I liken it to a scene in the first Men in Black movie where Will Smith is training, and you see all these cardboard cutouts of the aliens, and he ends up shooting the little girl, and they're like, well, why didn't you shoot the aliens? Well, he's sneezing and he's just jogging, and then she's got this quantum physics book. Like, what is she doing out in the middle of the night and whatever? And I feel the very same way about Amanda Holiday in this mission. What is she doing? Why?
There's another voice line. I can't remember if it's this mission or one of the other adventures where Sloan goes, "Oh no, if Amanda went rogue, this whole thing would be infested with hive like so quickly."
It just, I don't.
I think that was.
She was so eager to be like, yeah, I got that.
I think that was the one where she makes the comment about Amanda. She's trying to barter with Amanda to get her to help you, and she's like, "No, I got to repair my ships." And she's like, "All right, I'll give you first pick." She's like,
"Right,
fine."
Amanda's been hanging out with Marcus Wren too much. That's what's been going on.
That and who is it? Enoch is the other one. That entire crew just
crazy mechanic.
So once you get Siren Song done, that brings you to Deathless, and Deathless is kind of the final adventure on the planet. And in this one, basically, there's this knight that is just causing mayhem with Sloane's working crews. And what it turns out to be is this is a hive experiment that has given knights a more permanent shield. And so what you start finding out is you actually have to kill this knight three times. I can't remember.
At least three.
At least three. But in order to destroy it, you find out that basically you have to also kill a wizard that is basically powering this knight up. And then, so as you are progressing, you kill it like once or twice, and then Sloane recognizes it as a ritual. She's like, "Oh, this must be one of those rituals that we've heard about." And so then I think you start going down into the festering halls, which is where the strike takes place. And you actually go I think it's festering halls that you go into, and you have to kill the wizard, and then you can finally kill the knight. This is the excuse me.
Is that where the ogre pops up in the elevator shaft at the end?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember which one. This is Carlog the Undying that we mentioned in the intro session. So that's the final planetary adventure, and this is also where you get the fun line from Amanda. Like, she says, yeah, they worship death. We serve the light. Good versus evil. Black hats, white hats. Really makes you think.
She's a scary character. Like, she's somebody
she
who
can have the crystal, and everybody's okay.
Right?
With it.
Very just said the last line in the mission from Siren Song is from Amanda. "You're a beaut, aren't you? Oh, the test I'm gonna run on you. I wonder how many pistons you can power. Sparrow thrusters, obviously, but what about warp drives or..."
Amanda's
she's the girl with the quantum physics.
You know,
she reminds me of Kaylee from Firefly.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes. That or Scooter from Borderlands, that catch-a-ride guy.
Yep.
Just a crazy mechanic who's just going to make things like jerry-rig them until they work.
Might not work the first time or the fifth time, but it will work eventually.
She's only, like, what Amanda's lost, was it a leg?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. She's only lost one leg.
So far.
We don't know how
so
she
far.
Lost.
Drifter and Amanda can never meet.
Oh my god. Drifter, Amanda, and Marcus Wren. There's a few characters I don't want her to ever get too close to. I think Amanda thinks Drifter's creepy, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think she doesn't. She feels uncomfortable around it, but she also thinks Marcus Ren's an adorable idiot, I believe, or something along those lines.
Okay, so I want to dive into World Quest and a few other major events that have happened on Titan. The World Quest being Enemy of My Enemy, which we kind of brought up in the introduction episode. And Enemy of My Enemy is one of the only missions in game where you get to choose if you, like, your choice actually has a slight impact on later on in the story.
Mm-hmm.
At the end, I'm trying to remember everything else going on in that. You basically are finding that the Hive and the Fallen are fighting each other throughout this whole thing, and you are following. Is it a
methane reactor?
Fuels. Yeah,
it's the methane. So it's like it's a methane reactor that similar to the crystal that we saw in Siren Song. It's something that they're going to. Amanda's gonna jerry rig into the what was it? The wave energy converters to help power the rig and keep it floating, basically.
Okay. So at the end, which is kind of I'm trying to remember which weapon we got from Titan 2. I can't. It's not clicking in my head, and I was trying to figure out which one it is. Oh yeah, it is Rat King. Thank you. So at the end of the mission, you get a choice to shoot either the knight first or the fallen captain. And depending on how you choose, I can't remember if you end up just having to kill the Hive Knight if you kill the captain first, or yeah.
You have to the knight has to be killed, but the captain does not. So
if you kill the Hive Knight first, the captain bows to you and leaves the thing and just goes, just disappears. Also find out later that that is Mythrax, who was basically like, thanks, that was bad, you saved my butt. Okay, I'm out.
Yeah, because if I remember right, too, he was in a cell that you let out. You let him out.
In the really dark area, in the Festering Halls area. Yeah. He was in that, and you get locked up in a cell after opening his cell. You're locked in a cell, and you can't actually affect him as he runs away, and he's just like, oh, thank you. Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah. But that one, you end up getting Rat King at the end of it. And then the other major events that happened, obviously we talked about the last days of Kraken Mare. That one, if you have not listened to episode 194 or have not read the book, it is essentially a book on obviously the last days of Titan. And in that you find out what was going on during their emergency and how Rasputin was involved, as well as an Exo who is not a very nice Exo, but also has a connection to a guy here, and it's a very awkward old relationship that it should be like a rom-com gone bad. Do you remember this, Blue?
Crown 6. It's actually like I really liked that. I think that was one of Seth's works, if I remember correctly. It was back in season 8.
You can check the spreadsheet that.
Yeah, I think that's what I have written. I'm pretty sure I have it on the spreadsheet there. But like I really liked all the characters that were presented in that book. But I think it was David and Morgan, I want to say, was the Exo, referred to as Crown 6. But their relationship was very interesting. Because David was the hardcore pacifist, and Crown 6 was basically at that point a puppet of Rasputin for really all intents and purposes. Except you find out that she wasn't it was really, really well done how like the development of those characters in that very short span of work. I really, if you haven't read it, that's one of the ones I really do think it shows a lot of light on what was going on, as well as some of the tensions that existed between the Arcology and Clovis Bray, which I think are also really important.
The other two things that I would say are probably one of the more startling things that show up on Titan is the last part of the last word quest is on Titan with the damnation and the conversation. The conversation being the draw, essentially, where you're having to summon the last word and outshoot the proto-hive, which Blue has fond memories of while doing the show.
It's not the only one.
I know. The other one was also on Titan.
Yep.
Shore?
Yeah, I thought yeah, the
yeah,
last word the last word
Conversation
went
was on Tangled.
yeah.
There's one part that was on Titan though. Damnation I thought was on Titan.
Yeah, that's in Greg's area.
Yeah.
In the
Yeah.
ogre
The
area.
ogre.
Yeah, but
So that
the
one's-
bugged out one was in the same place that the strike on
That
the
down in the
bleh. Yeah, the brood
brood hold.
Yeah.
That's right.
Inkar. He cheats.
Jerk face. No, you just don't aim down. Like you can't aim down sights. You have.
No,
to
that
hit
was the one
draw.
that
You
bugged
have
out on me. That's the one that I had
I
to
know.
go. I had to start all the way from the
So-
beginning again.
You get for doing a mission. Like,
That wasn't even the worst one that I did during this show.
I know. We're
Which
gonna
brings
talk about
us to
that
the
one
next one.
which is the Thorn Mission. Sloan has a few voice lines talking about Dredge and Yor. Did you realize that? Like, she actually bypasses security to look up stuff on Dredge and Yor, which
Mhm.
I have always wondered why. The only thing that I think it could have to do with is the Thorn Mission, which you run. Sabathun's song is there's so many burns on, and it's Blue did this.
Don't
right
recommend
with
doing this
pins.
without headphones,
Oh my-
because you
So-
don't have radar, and it's
Yeah.
melee
Yeah,
one
blackout.
hits.
Yeah,
Uh-huh. And Void Burn.
I don't.
Blue
like
did-
blackout.
Oh my gosh, he did this strike with pens, and who was the other fool that had to do it with you?
There was a couple
it
different
Mooney?
people that we got in, because it took us a long time.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Mhm.
all the thrall. The thrall were the worst part.
Yeah.
Like that was honestly the worst
Yeah.
part.
It absolutely was. And oh my gosh, I was so mad at you for doing that during the show. I don't know how you kept from screaming.
Slow and steady.
Yeah. That was a.
I did
it was a
find.
mess.
I
know you
found.
died
I
a
found
lot.
the. I found the hiding hole. That was finally the. Oh, that was a. I did not play that strike again for a very long time after I got
love
done with that
strike.
one.
That's actually one of my favorite strikes.
Oh, no,
I'm
I
really
like
sad
it,
it's
yeah.
going away.
I like that strike, but yeah, there was. I mean, it
That
was
one ruins
probably
it for a little bit.
that. Yeah, I as soon as I would load in on the Vanguard strikes, that was the one that was one of the few times that I'm like, nah, I'm gonna just go back to orbit real quick and.
I've been here enough.
Which one is on Nessa? That's the one. I
The
think this
Exodus down.
the
the
Shadow
Fallen?
Thief.
Oh,
the-
yeah,
I think it's the
Yeah,
Shadow
Exodus
Thief.
crash.
I don't like that one.
It's so that one I dislike. I'll
That one-
do it. It's
That one I've
not
just
too
gotten really
bad
good
to
at
do it.
running fast.
Risk run.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That one. That's a
Yeah.
risk run.
It makes it go real fast.
It
Mhm.
does. It does. The last thing, besides Sabathun's song in general as the basic strike, which everyone has run to death, this Sabathun song is the first instance that we see a shrieker that is tied directly to Sabathun, and that will actually transition us nicely to the contact event.
Mhm.
What's going on now, although as of the date that we were recording it, the contact event is back on Io, not Titan at the moment, but there are marionettes on Titan currently, which is a lot of fun. What do you think of this section, Ted? This was one of the things that you were kind of excited about, Taken being on Titan.
So I think number one, when you first see the big ol' shrieker, the eyeball at the
Mm-hmm.
end, that was so cool. And then I remember when I first saw, um, Sabathun's name in the strike and being like, "Uh-oh, what's going on here?" And for that to finally come full circle, and for us to see that there are plans, and we have even more literal eyeballs watching us on Titan.
Mm-hmm.
So fun. So fun. I smiled, even though they're creepy and they're following you, even wherever you go. Um, but seeing the Taken come back and actually have a purpose with them makes me really excited for the future.
Me
I
too.
don't know if this thread is going to be completed once Beyond Light
Mm-hmm.
comes out. I feel like it's going to go beyond even further and probably won't have a whole lot of real meat to it until we get closer to the Witch Queen DLC.
Right.
But it's definitely something to keep your eye on.
So I want to bring up a spin foil I've heard mutterings of. It relates to Sabathun, which relates to Titan, at least initially. Obviously, Sabathun has just kind of been everywhere at this point. But the eyes themselves, the ones that you have to pop. Blue, do you know where I'm going with this one?
Mm-mm.
Do you know what asset they're using?
The eyes from the 9 lady, the emissary.
Oh,
This one.
It's the same. It's
supposedly.
It's the same.
Supposedly,
Right.
yeah.
It's the same asset look as the emissary of the 9. So the theory that I've seen out there is that Sabathun has infiltrated that, and that's why Orin it is Orin. Like, I'm not making that up. The emissary
Yeah,
name.
that's Orin.
That's part of the reason why she's trying to leave
Well,
everything, is that she's been kind of seduced by Sabathun. It's a spin foil. Obviously, it's not got any weight in my mind, but that's just one of the mutterings I've heard on the interwebs.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I can see the path there. I just disagree. But real quick, I did Veru also reminded me the back on Siren Song, that actually was another of the missions similar to World Quest that actually is connected to something that happens later. You actually get armor from Amanda called Songbreaker. And the flavor text of that armor says, "They're powered by that hive rock you got me. Sloan gave me permission once I explained the voltmeter readings from Amanda Holiday." So there's actually a connection with the giant crystal that we send to Amanda. She actually does craft us something out of it.
Well, that's nice of her. She used a piece of it because obviously
To spy on us. Yeah, I know. It's really nice of her.
Amanda is not Sabathun.
You just thought Eva was, but Granny with
the
with the machine gun has nothing on.
This book. I'm gonna talk about this. The new cookbook. For those of you who are not on live stream, the Destiny has a cookbook. It is written by Eva Levante. There are some really questionable things that Eva knows in this cookbook. Tiny bits of lore, stuff between pages of wonderful drinks and foods, and
We're gonna have to test it all out. I mean, that's what any good lore researcher would do, right? Is make sure that all those recipes work.
She's all for it. Like, we are planning on Julia Childing this book, like going page by page and recreating the recipes. And I am so excited because she wants to kind of sort of learn about lore. Basically, she's allowing me to talk lore at her while she's cooking these recipes.
Yeah, it's
So I'm gonna be visiting Green for the next.
There's a marshmallow recipe. Like, how you
That's
just
kind of cool.
right?
That's pretty cool.
It's super simple too. Like, there's some really cool things in here that I'm excited to try that I've never had before, and there's some like staples too, like coleslaws in here, fried chicken fried steak. Like the section with Amanda Holiday is all about Southern comfort.
Yeah, I was about to say comfort food. Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's gonna be a fun one to dive into. Titan. Final thoughts on Titan and like how much lore is actually packed into this tiny moon that everyone's like, there's nothing there to do. There's a lot of stuff going on there.
Mm-hmm.
What are you guys thinking?
Yeah, I actually Dancing Ver just said this too, and I was gonna bring this up too. There is a lot of really interesting parallels, whether they're coincidental or not. There's a lot of different parallels that go on with Titan and with what we know about the Fundament from the Books of Sorrow.
Yes.
There's
Yeah.
very similar events. There's very similar discussion on gravitational differences. There's similar ecologies, basically. It's very interesting. We don't have enough information to say, yeah, Titan is the fundament, or or it's not. There are a lot of things that would make sense. There's some things that wouldn't make sense. There's on both sides, but it definitely has some connections, at least in the vocabulary that is used. Now, out of character knowledge, kind of pulling back from the fourth wall there a little bit, it could also be that the authors were the same. Seth wrote the Book of Sorrows and also the Last Days, so you could argue that it could just be that's his vocabulary that he's biased towards. I don't think that's the case, but I could see someone making that comment. But
Right.
True. But he's so cognizant on what he's
correct,
using.
and that's what I was about to say is between his very, very strong awareness of what he's writing and the fact that, again, it's not just a single person, it's a team. I think that a lot of the connections, I do really think, if it was just one or two, I would think those would be an accident. The fact that we have several makes me think that it is a little intentional. Now, with as many as we have, I also am kind of nervous saying that it is a connection because it's like, but I do want to call out that there is quite a bit of theories about the connection between Titan and the Fundament. That also being said, I think Titan, and I think you guys have mentioned this a couple times, I think Titan, as well as the other planets that are, quote, being sunset, I really don't think we're going to see them destroyed. I think that if anything, we're going to evacuate them, but I don't think that we're going to see any of these planets being destroyed. I think they're going to remain as potential environments for the future.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
But they're going away.
They're going away.
They're be there.
Correct. We're evacuating. We're evacuating from them. But that evacuation.
I'm curious.
Evacuation is not the same as destruction, is what I guess my point is. I'm
curious if they're going to pull something in relation to Asher Mir's card in Duress and Egress, where you know how he shoots the rocket at him, which we're gonna do an episode on this at some point. I promise. I've just been recording it in the background, and in that Asher Mir shoots a laser.
Oh, the time to yeah.
And the fact that the rocket essentially disappears, it's there, it's physically there, and it's just invisible and deactivated in some ways.
Yeah, like they sidestepped it or something into, I think they transpose. I can't remember how he described it, but I remember that.
Stuck in the shield, essentially.
Yeah,
it is like the imagery that I got is that it's there next to the pyramid, but it's like it went into another time frame, but it's stuck.
Viru also wants me to point out that on the fundaments, Sabathun was the first who was influenced by the worm, and the brood on Titan is called out as being
Right.
first, or being related to Sabathun as well.
Yeah. I agree with you, Blue. I don't think that Titan or any of the planets are going to be destroyed. I think they might be occupied until further notice, and we're not going to have any business there um, until the Witch Queen comes out. Because when we look at all the planets that we have, the only one there's two right now that have a very high focus to them, and that being Titan and the Moon. I don't think we're going to go back to the Moon for a third time to take a look at more hive activity. To me, it would make more sense that when we come back to Titan, once the Witch Queen is kind of getting closer, that it's going to be even worse than what it is now. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's where a bulk of the story for the Witch Queen happens, just because that's their territory, unless they're going to come out with a completely new zone like the Dreadnought or whatever.
Right.
For,
Well,
for
and we could see a
Sabathun.
return to the Dreadnought too.
Yeah,
Because, I
we
mean,
could.
technically the Dreadnought's still there.
Yeah, that's true, and you can see it from there too. Um,
The only question I have with the Moon is I want to see that pyramid wake up and decide to leave.
that would be cool, and then the moon would
That
be
would
all
Right,
broken up
because
again.
you could argue then a completely different environment, but still have it on the like you could do basically two birds with one stone, right? You can introduce an
Right.
entirely new area, but still have it quote the Moon.
Right.
Yeah, and that's Veru saying kind of the same thing with Titan. You could do title changes on Titan,
Right.
you know, and you can change these whole spaces. And that's why I kind of been thinking. I'm like, I don't think we're going to see like Planet Buster, you know, happening.
Yeah, I think they're gonna look completely different. They're not gonna pull a Death Star on us, but
I mean, we don't know that.
No, we
don't.
don't. We don't. I can see like I'm just speaking from like the feeling that I get from like the thematic steps that they've taken. Like,
Sure.
yeah, I mean, we could destroy it, but the thing is the repercussions that you would have to deal with, because for all their small differences that they make with, like, you know, the Titan being an ocean world or whatever, they really do actually try to also keep somewhat within the realms of reality as far as like space. If you destroy an entire planet or even a moon, like that has significant repercussions within the solar system that I don't like, unless they're going to go fully down, you know, the space fantasy route and just be like, okay, we're going to take away, you know, we're going to step away from reality and go full space magic moment, which they kind of did with the Dreaming City. But I just, I don't know, like I see them more likely also keeping them in their back pocket because they've made comments about sunsetting being put into the vault that can also be then brought back out.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And I don't think destroying the planets would sit well with the community unless they were assured to come back afterwards.
think
And
there's
that's what
only
the
one
vault is kind of built for.
only
from what I
one
hear.
planet I can think of that the community would be like, good riddance. Mercury.
Mercury.
Yeah, I mean,
Eh.
and the only reason I would say that that's probably not going to happen is because of the story
Infinite.
connections that are tied to Mercury, the Infinite Forest, and the Sundial mainly.
Personally, until this season, I would have said Io, because
Really?
yeah, I've not been as interested in Io because I was more interested in Venus than I was in Io, and I think
That's
they're very, very similar. And now that we can go into the I'm blanking on the name, but where the tree is and where the maze was.
The
with
cradle?
Traveler. The cradle, yeah.
Mhm.
Now that we can go into the cradle, I found it a lot more interesting, but just like visually, I don't think it was as compelling as Venus was for me. I would have rather.
There's-
Oh, I can agree with that. Like Venus had a very distinct aesthetic to it.
Mhm.
Sure.
And they're very similar, except for Io doesn't have the buildings. And
Well, that and it
Or the
IO doesn't have like the
plants?
color. Yeah, the color
No, it's just yellow.
swath.
Yeah.
Also,
there is still a mystery on IO. Blue brought it up. Where does the subway go?
I'm here to remind people of the important questions that we
I-
have.
I hate that stupid subway. It makes no sense.
Is that from
There's-
the map?
Yeah,
It's from
From
the
the
Rasputin.
D1?
It's when we did the season where we were doing the bunkers. Because when you go down the bunker in IO,
It's
there's
a
a stupid
subway
subway there
station.
randomly next to the Pyramidion. There's
You're
no,
right.
there's nothing else there.
I
There's nothing there.
She
base
got
is
so
on the
she
other
got
side
so
of the freaking
mad
map.
about this.
It doesn't make sense.
that is funny. I honestly
Oh,
didn't even
yeah.
consider that when sparrowing through there. Like I just wanted to get to.
I
the
was on.
bunker and
I
get
think
it
that was
over
one of the
with.
few times we were on comms while we were playing, and she's like, "What is it?" I was like, "Whoa!"
Yeah. Whoops,
So
that's an
angry.
asset from the EDZ.
Yeah, I don't. Oh my gosh, I was so mad. I don't know if it was from the EDZ or if they used an asset from D1 with the subway system on
Right.
what planet was that?
Mars.
Because
Was
there
that
was a
Venus?
map. It
Freehold.
may have been. Freehold had it. Mars. It would have been Mars.
Wait
wouldn't it?
for what? Sorry, which?
There was
which?
a PvP map that had
I thought that was Venus.
subways. I don't remember which map it
Because
was,
it was
but
with
there were.
Rise of Iron.
Oh, in D1, there were a couple different ones with subways. There was
Mhm.
Venus. Venus
Okay.
had different metro systems because that's how they
Right.
got from the Ishtar Academy to the Clovis Bray facilities. There was a connection there, but then Freehold also had on the patrol mission. You could when you spawned into Mars, if you went down through the building and out,
Yep.
there was
yeah.
and go through those buildings. There was
Uh-huh.
a giant. That's where all the Minotaurs hung out.
That was a big
The
one.
only reason I know that is because that's where I'd always go to get those bounties done.
Mhm.
And then I think there was a PvP map on Mars that also took place around a subway.
Because that had the scrawling text that everybody thought was a new
Yes,
piece of
yeah.
whatever, but it was just an emblem.
And then the back door to the Black Garden, thanks Black Flag, was also in the underground subway in Freehold. That was how
Oh,
we.
Right.
There was like
forgot
4 or
about
5
that.
Vex
Yep.
gates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a fun debate to be like, how is there a back door to the garden? Yes, and then there was the Mars map that was on top of the Clovis Bray skyscraper.
Yeah, with the
Which-
rotating thing in it.
Yeah, and that was
Satellite
kind
thing.
of that was what I thought of when we read the Constellations book when it talked about the
Mhm.
speaker or the first speaker being above Freehold.
On the top of Freehold.
Oh,
Mhm.
gotcha.
But yeah,
I don't have anything else for this one. Do you want to wrap this one up for the advanced episode?
I think so. We don't have any dispatches. We kind of Green mentioned on the intro session her project with the audio file that will be hopefully getting out soon. And then also next week we are taking off, and then the following week, Pins is going to join us to kind of talk a bit about what we saw with Halo Infinite and just in general Halo lore. We'll probably talk a little bit about what has happened that seems to be leading up to Infinite from what we know so far, because I know that's a question I've seen quite a few places. But other than that, really shout outs. Ted, do you have any shout outs for this episode?
No, I do not.
All right. Green, what about you?
My shout out goes to the teachers that are currently in limbo, as well as all the parents currently in limbo.
Yo-yoing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. I'm actually speaking with an old friend of mine at the moment. He's an art teacher in Wichita, Kansas, and he's telling me
Oh.
that they still have no clue
Yeah,
what they're
Wichita's
doing.
been they've been going back and forth a lot too.
They've also had a huge series of breaks recently. So,
Yeah.
and that scares me because I have family there. I have my little sister is working in a hospital doing clinicals right now there. So,
Ooh.
I'm a little I've been on edge with that one. Yeah, shout out to those guys. Stay strong. We have your support. You have our support. It's just we gotta. It's bleak. It's not fun, but be kind to your teachers. Be kind to your community members who are teachers within your community, whether it is a teacher at a school district or a teacher teaching pottery class somewhere else. Like anybody who is in the field of teaching right now, it's a incredibly difficult time for them because no one has been trained to deal with this.
Yeah.
This is them learning it as they go as well. So be very patient.
I was about to say, yeah, that's the other thing is not only be kind, but also be patient because they are being absolutely slammed with an overabundance of information that is changing on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
Not only for like the recommendations from like health centers and stuff like that, but also requirements for how, and I mean, the thing is with teachers especially, it's like, you know, we're seeing enough difficulty with our own selves being sure to wash our hands, you know, every time.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be responsible for kids, you know, and that's going to be like 20 to 30 kids. They're going to have to make sure that all of them are doing, you know, all the sanitation procedures and all it's just be kind, be patient, and that goes for everyone who is an essential worker, who's just in general. Like if there's people out there, just be aware of that and be patient. Everyone's going through battles that, you know, you don't know about, and that's one of the important things to remember. But other than that, I just, you know, as always, want to thank you for your time. And until next time, remember, with wisdom we conquer, stand strong, stand tall, and keep exploring.
You can go ahead and stop the recording. Blue will put a link in our chat for the export of that.
Okay.
And Ted, I don't remember if you were here when we sent out the thank you cards, if you got one last time.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Thank you
Cool.
very much.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a nice little thank you from us to you guys jumping in with us and putting up with the 3-hour recording
The
session.
enchiladas.
The
Enchiladas,
enchiladas.
taco salads.
the spicy episodes. What? This is 211?
211. Yep. Yep.
Blue.
What?
Oh, no. I was just sorry. Sean is the art teacher, and I'm talking to him Hammer a little bit because he was
Good
the
episode.
guy who
And the breeding.
The breeding.
Oh my.
It's not breeding, but it's breeding.
But it's totally breeding.
Trying to keep it PG for the kids here. I say took us.
Black Flag says the Volume 7 Ruby. I'm so sleepy I read that as good breading.
Go to sleep, Veru.
And the breading.
Wicked says, you're done recording. We're good now.
Yeah.
Those hive and their panko.
Oh my god. Yeah, that was the observation card that you're talking about. It's got the best start to it. Man of science though he was, the first thing Ashermir did was shoot the damn thing.
Do you want this as a wave 16 or 32-bit?
32, please.
Yeah, 32-bit, please.
Oh,
I love reading Asher's cards.
Asher's snarky. I like how Asher gets a little bit of snark.
I love how he calls the pyramid out for having the audacity. It's
The change on him.
You know, when I recorded that card, I read it with Asher's clip and speed. I can't do the Asher
audacity
voice,
to park in front of his laboratory. Assistant, hand me that rocket launcher.
Love it. I cannot wait till that one releases. That one was pretty fun to read. The other one that was fun was Vance.
Oh, man, I was reading that and I was so giddy. I was like, finally, Vance gets like some redemption. You know,
Yeah.
it's oh gosh, that last line of his was just like, I'm like, because that was, what was that? That was that Passeri? Yeah,
I don't
that was the very last one. Yeah. I mean, Asher got a bit of redemption too when he he was like, I'm done. I'm going to the pyramid. And it was like, you're what now? Like, what? I'm just going to waltz through the Pyramidion and...
Let me get my gun.
Yeah. It's...
I hope we get to do more fun stuff with them in the future, with like the planetary vendors and stuff. Just explore them a bit more like we did in the beginning of D2.
That would be nice.
They need that time to shine.
Although, if there's, I think there's only one other person in the frickin' list that people hate more than Brother Vance. Like, people still don't like Vance, and rightfully so. Vance is odd.
Oh, I mean, I'll give you that, but I think a lot of the annoyance at Vance was because we kind of got hoodwinked on him a little bit.
Yeah.
Because everyone was convinced he was one thing off of an assumption.
Fanboy.
Fair, but then they came back and they're like, no, he's just a normal human. They're like, what? Like, I think there is a bit of consternation about that, I think is my opinion of why that's a lot of frustration there.
This is true.
Yeah, I did see that for Rue. She's been there for 3 years, if I remember correctly. And yes, Black Flag Asher did. So I am curious as to what that means, though, because Asher pulls the entire lake of radiolarian fluid, it seems like, down, which I'm not quite sure what that means.
Why are you messaging
him in the dark alley?
Why are you messaging your wife telling her that it's my fault that you need the cookbook?
I told you that. I told you that from the very beginning. I said, Green says that I need to get the Destiny recipe book for researching purposes. And you laughed. And then we had the episode.
And then I told the message that I'm included on. So I'm like, great, I get to be part of this argument. Wife number 2 says I can have this.
Yeah, that one. Oh, well, Black Flag, because he said it was the fractal contradiction because he's inside the Pyramidion, Because remember, he was saying about how the reality is shifting. So he looks up and he finds another impossible shape, another fractal contradiction. Far above and placid in its Penrose vortex, the vast radiolarian lake laps gently at the metallic shores. So he looks up and it's like an upside down lake. I just like that he finally found his lake. That was, I mean, it was a good metaphor, but it is not a metaphor.
It's not a metaphor.
So the lake is a metaphor?
That strike's going away. Oh my god, I don't have to deal with frickin' Dwyer breaking Brachion.
We killed him. Oh my god, we did it. This right before I got on, we were running strikes, and the group that I was with, he spawned in and we killed him in one, like, right there.
Nice.
I'm like, we're gonna have a problem. The entire time I'm like, oh no, this is gonna be bad, because of course after a certain amount of damage his head comes off, and I'm like, I remember Green saying something, keep damaging him.
Yeah, either you are going all in on that. If you don't go all in and kill him, you are world hurt because he's invincible when he's outside of his
mistake might have been made.
It's terrifying, and he chases you. Freaking Dwyer does it on purpose with Cole. You are not allowed to run this strike with us anymore.
It just makes me think of the Crota glitch, where he would come in the room after us.
It's like that, but worse. Because he's firing a sniper rifle at you the whole time.
It was like, I just remember the first time that happened, all I could say was like, you're not supposed to be here. It's like...
Oh my. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and hop off for the night because I hurt my wife's feelings by telling her that I could hear her singing, and I didn't want it on the recording.
So that's saying, bye, Sri.
Yeah.
Green's got to go repair the person who promised that she's gonna cook out of the cookbook. So
I gotta go.
Night.
Good night.
Good night.